Morning everybody, it's Ian at RTO here. Hope everyone is doing good and welcome to Thursday on RTO. And Thursday means it's then and now, where we look at a band, look at their first album, pull it apart, and then we get in the time machine, go forward to the last or current album, pull that apart. Then we just look at their discography, point out a few good tracks or a few good albums. So what we got for you today? Well, we're going to look at some speed metal today. One of my favourite speed metal type bands from Germany, Helloween, formed in Hamburg, in West Germany as it was then, by people that had been in bands, come from people from Iron Fist, Gentry, Second Help and Powerful. So the first lineup of Helloween was Kai Hansen, bassist Marcus Groskopf, guitar player Michael Waketh, I don't know, my German's not very good, and drummer Indigo Schwarzenberg. But by the time Hansen in 1989, the band had become a 5-piece outfit with Michael Kiesk on vocals, but then Schwarzenberg and Kiesk both parted ways in 1993. Sadly, Indigo died 2 years later. He committed suicide, poor chap. And then there have been a few other lineup changes. So the only original members left now is Marcus Groskopf and Michael Waketh. So let's have a look at their very first album. Okay, there was an EP that come out, and if you've got a CD bonus version you get the EP, but I'm going to just concentrate on that very first album, which was the official debut album, full-length studio version. It was released in 1985 on Noise Records, Walls of Jericho. It was the only album that featured Kai Hansen as lead vocalist until he did a few on the current album, of course, but he would play guitars. So the lineup was Kai Hansen on vocals and lead guitar, Michael Waketh on guitar, Marcus Groskopf on the bass, Indigo Schwarzenberg on the drums, and we had additional musicians. We had James Hardaway on an EMU Emulator 2, what that was. It was produced by and engineered, mixed by Harris Johns. So let's have a look at these, what they now call classic tracks. Walls of Jericho. London Bridge is falling down on the trumpets. Yeah. What a way to start one. That's one thing about these you find with Helloween. You have these little silly ditties at the beginning, and London Bridge is falling down. It's pretty good. So then that goes into Ride the Sky. You get the sound effect of the whatever's coming down's coming down, and then you get this heavy, speedy burst of energy. Indigo's drumming on this is just fantastic. Kai Hansen's vocals, they're not too bad on this. It's a pretty good track. I personally, I don't think Kai has got a very strong voice. He's a fantastic guitar player, but as a lead vocalist, I think he just lacks a little bit that the other two have got. but it's still a great track, Ride the Sky. Reptile, oh, I love the riffs on this. Kai Hansen, great shredding, he's all over it, but again, I think it's the vocals that let this track down. I'm probably going to get hated for this, but this is, you got to remember, this is my personal decision. If you're different, I understand that, but this is looking at my perspective. But I do like the music of Reptile. I think it's a great track, fast, heavy, really good. Guardians, again, I love the track, it is great, but I can't understand what Kai's singing. Oh, it's just such a shame. It's such a great track. Phantoms of Death, pretty good riffs on this, superb stuff. Again though, it's them vocals that sort of let me down. Metal Invaders, this is a good track, and Kai Hansen sings okay on this one. Very, very good track. Then we get Gorgar. This isn't too bad. You can understand what's Kai's singing, and what I love about this is in the middle of this you get in the Hall of the Mountain King. Pretty cool track. One of my favourites off the album, actually. Then we get Heavy Metal is the Law. It's a classic song. Even though you can't really understand what Kai's saying, it's still up there as a classic song from the band. And the last track on here is the classic How Many Tears. It's always been a favourite of mine. But I prefer Michael Keith singing this than Kai. Because, I mean, Keith has got a fabulous voice, and still has to this day. How he does it, I don't know, but that's a great, great track. So, how did the critics take this? Well, I have searched high and low, and there's not much about it. I like it, even though the vocals are a little bit weak. I just love the energy of the album. I didn't chart in the UK. And this, if you know it did, I'd love to know, because I can't find it anywhere. And I spent a good 3/4 of an hour searching the net yesterday, and it just come up with everything but. You know when you Google something, and it comes up with everything but what you want. But I did find some professional ratings for it. All Music gave it 3 stars out of 5. Collector's Guide to Heavy Metal gave it a 8 out of 10. And Sputnik Music gave it a 4 out of 5. So I think the majority of the fans like it, and I like it as well, so it didn't do too bad. So let's pick it to bits. So song quality. The songs are absolutely brilliant, but what lets them down is Carl Hansen's vocal. I'm sorry, Kai. You're a great guitar player, but you're not the greatest singer in the world. Song quality, then, I'll give it a 4 out of 5. Purely on the construction of the songs. Are fantastic, and the lyrics, I've read the lyrics, and the lyrics are fantastic. So I'll give that a 4. The production, very well produced, good sound. Musically, they sound brilliant, but I do feel that they could have. The lyrics do get lost in this song. In these songs, sorry. I would like someone to come and remix this properly, or I don't like it. Get Michael Kiske to sing them. I don't know. I think it needs bringing up. Although it's a classic album, I think re-recording it may bring it to what it deserves. But I'll still give it a 4 out of 5 for production, because it is an album I do play. I love it. Reception. It's got a bit of a mixed bag, because it didn't chart, but the fans loved it, and the fans still love it. It's a very dear-hearted album to everybody, even myself. Everyone has to start somewhere. I mean, it was a good debut album. So I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. It's not because I hate it. I think I mean, it's just the fans, but the critics were out on the fence. So this gives Walls of Jericho an RTO ranking of 11 out of 15. Okay then, as we always do on Thursday mornings, we're going to get in that time machine and move on 36 years. This makes me feel old, because I remember it coming out, and obviously I've got the new album as well, 36 years, woo, 2021. And we come to Helloween, self-titled 16th studio album, released on the 18th of June 2021. The album was the first release with the Pumpkins United lineup, which we had Kai come back in and Michael come back in. It's the first album to feature Kai Hansen since Keeper of the Keys Part 2, and it's the first album with Michael Kiske has played on since Chameleon. It was a long time coming. It was the longest gap between albums. So how did this all happen? This united Pumpkins. Well, in 1989, Kai Hansen left Helloween, as we know, and founded Gamma Ray, which are a pretty cool band, and we will be looking at them at some stage. But he'd never played with vocalist Michael Kiske. Michael Kiske did the same. He left, focused on a solo career, taking part in projects like Advertasia. So, and they hadn't spoken to the rest of the band for decades. Then in 2016, Michael Wakeith approached Kiske in a backstage festival and asked him, what did I do that you can't forgive me? What a question to ask. But Kiske had realised he'd already forgiven Wakeith, but failed to notice it. Following some encouragement from Hansen, by the time his man banged at Unisonic, he had agreed to join them for a Pumpkins United tour. They didn't invite everybody because Graskov said that there'd been too many people on stage. But they did this world tour, and it's pretty cool. We've all got the live album, we love it. So they went into the studio and they put this album together. So you've got Michael Kiske lead vocals, Andy Derry lead vocals, Kai Hansen lead vocals, guitars, Michael Wakeith on the guitar, Sasha Gernster guitars, Marcus Kreutzkopf on the bass, Daniel Loeb on the drums, and we got Matthias Ulmer on keyboards. The album was produced and mixed by Charlie Bonafrand and Dennis Ward. Now, if you remember, I actually reviewed this when it came out, and I did watch it yesterday, and I didn't speak too highly of it. I liked some of the tracks, but what I did say, this is an album that will grow. And I'm going to make a confession. It has. I love it. I love this album now. I think it's because I've listened to it more and got into it more, and I love it. So let's have a look at the tracks. Out for Glory. It's got that typical Halloween start. I love this track now. I love it so much. It's a brilliant track. Fear for the Fallen. It's amazing what a few listens to this album has done. I love this track again now. It's heavy, it's got some great riffs, it's got some great vocal. It is such a good track. Best Time, again solid, fantastic vocal from Derry, superb stuff. Mass Pollution, I love the licks on this. This song is amazing. Angels, the bass line, I've always liked this one, from the bass line from Marcus Glasscock. Whoa, terrific, dirty. Then the rest of the band join in and it is fantastic. Rise Without Chains, more classic bass line from Marcus, and then you get this boom classic riffing from the guys on guitars. Kai Hansen, I think he's enjoying this, he's really into this. Indestructible, when I first reviewed it I said that it was a bit repetitive. Not now. I love it. I love this track now. Robot King, another track that I was a bit out on the fence with, but listening to it, it grew on me and grew on me. The guitar solos in this are brilliant. Everyone has a go at one and they're loving it. It's actually a very, very good track. Cyanide, I've always liked this one. Love the opening to this. Great guitar work from Kai. He is a genius of speed metal. He is the daddy down in the drums. This track kicks butt. That's what I'll say. Orbit, it's that little intro into the next track. Skyfall still remains my favourite track on the album. It's got everything you need in a Halloween classic. Then Golden Times, I'm still not convinced about that one. I'm really not. Save My Hide, it's a lot better than what I first thought of it. Pumpkins United, I still love this. We Are Real, all I'll say about that, I like it a little bit more than I did when I reviewed the album when it came out. So what did everyone think of it? Everyone loved it. Got to in the UK normal charts, the one that people don't really take notice of these days because it's just full of rubbish. Got to 24, but only made 35 on the new Billboard. Now, but in the UK independent albums, it got to number 4, and of course in the UK rock and metal albums, it got to number 1. Jason Roch for Blabbermouth wrote, said that the Derry Keith duo has tremendous chemistry and Hansen's axe capabilities are seamlessly interwoven alongside those existing duo. Fantastic. Jonathan Smith, writing for SonicPerspectives.com, wrote, it's certainly up there in the short list of best material of this band ever produced, and he gave it an album ranking of 9 out of 10. Carl Newman for Heavy Mag summarised this album as essentially a mix of all the Halloween albums into one. And it's absolutely right. It takes bits from the whole catalogue and to produce this fantastic album. And it's everything that Halloween is. Can't get any better than that. Song quality. I mean, personally, these songs have really grown on me. I do love this now. There's just a couple on there that I'm still not convinced about. So I'll give it a 4.5 out of 5. That's why it hasn't got the full 5. It's them couple of tracks that I'm not convinced on. Production. Oh, brilliant. Michael Kiske. His voice has not changed since he left. It is such a powerful voice. And Andy Derry, again, they're great. Both of them are great singers, and the two of them together are just fantastic. You've got Michael at one end of the spectrum, you've got Andy there, and they meet in the middle, and it produces a great harmony, and that what makes these songs brilliant, and production. So I give the production on this 5 out of 5 without a doubt. Reception. Now, as I said, I looked at the video and I didn't slag it off. I was just a little bit near or there, but now I love it. The fans love it. The critics love it, and I think it is truly it's up there with their masterpieces now. So I give it a 5 out of 5 for reception. So that gives it an RTO ranking, a 14.5 out of 15. Terrific album. Their first album, they're both iconic albums. You go back to Walls of Jericho, it's the album that you think this band will go somewhere, and it did. And this album sort of brings it back into a full circle. Both terrific albums. So let's have a look at their discography, at some of the highlights of the history of Helloween. So after the debut, 1987, we have the classic album, 1987's Keeper of the Seven Keys Part 1. This is a superb album, and it featured Michael Kiske, Kai Hansen, Michael Wecketh, Marcus Groskopf and Indigo Switchenberg. One of my favourite albums by the band. I'm not going to give it too much, because again, if you guys want me to rank these albums, put it in the comments below. That's the only way we're going to do a full ranking of this, if you ask me to. Initiation, I love this little intro. It goes straight into I'm Alive. I love the guitar solo in this. Fast speed metal at its best. A Little Time, classic song. Twilight of the Gods, brilliant. A Tale That Wasn't Right. This is a superb song, and when they did it live, I saw the video from Wacken. Michael sang this as good as he did in 1987. What a voice, great track. Future World, love this, always have. I like that, dun, 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 dun. It's great. Then we get the brilliant Helloween. Oh, the way they opened up that gig, whoa, at Wacken, superb stuff. Follows the Sign, just one of them little ditties, really good. How do you follow that though? Well, you do an album called Keeper of the Seven Keys, release it in 1988. Same lineup. Invitation. Another one of them little ditties. Eagle Fly Free, superb track. I love the start of this. You get that guitar bit, and then all of a sudden it changes tempo. Brilliant. You Always Walk Alone, great guitar solo. I love the different beats in this. Brilliant. Rise and Fall. Got one of my favourite lines. A singer sang for bullshit. Yes. Great song. I like that. How, bum, bum, bum. A great track. Then we get the brilliant Dr. Stein. What can you say about that? Love the keyboard solo in that. Terrific. We Got the Right. Marcus Glaskopf's brilliant bass line. March of Time. Kai Hansen is just fantastic on this. I Went Out, another classic. Love the guitar solo in this. Very 1960s, 70s sounding guitar solo. Brilliant. Keeper of the Seven Keys, another true epic from the band. Up there with Helloween. Save Us. Amazing. How does Keys hit these high notes? I don't know. Fantastic. Another great album. So we had to wait a little while for the next album. Pink Bubbles Go Ape. I hate the cover. We've had a lineup changed by this time. We've got Michael Keys, Michael Wickath. We've got now Roland Grappo on guitar as well. Marcus Grosskopf and Indigo Schwitzenberg. And you've got Phil Nichols and Pete Iverson on keyboards. It's this album, if I was ranking it, it'd be down towards the bottom. The only tracks on here that stand out for me are Kids of the Century and Back on the Street. That's the only ones that really do it for me on this album. Them same lineup brought out Chameleon. It would be Michael Kisk's last album. I'll make no qualms about this. This will always be bottom of the pile on my ranking. They were experimenting and they experimented too much, I think, and it's not the best album. I don't mind saying this would be number whatever at the bottom. The only other tracks I would really like on this is Giants. It's a really good song. Windmill's pretty good, and I Believe. Oh, it was a pretty poor album. You think, what's gone wrong? The wheels have come off here. But thankfully, in 1994, they got a new singer, new drummer. They brought Andy Derry in and Yuli Kirsch on drums, and they come up with a belter, Master of the Rings, from 1994. I like the first little ditty. It's called Irritation, but it's got Etude 112 in C, arranged by Michael Wickath. Lovely. Soul Survivor, classic song. Drumming on this is awesome. Where the Rain Grows, all brilliant. Them drums, guitar work in this is superb. Why, great solid track. Mr. Ego, Take Me Down. I love this guitar beginning, and the keyboard works fantastic. Some really grinding riffs in this. Then we got another one of my favourite tracks by the band, Perfect Gentleman. Love the whistly start. Very good track, fantastic. The Game Is On, it's not too bad. Secret Alibi, solid track. Got a great beat to this one, love it. Take Me Home, it's just like a Motorhead track to me. Great. Then we get the most brilliant song, In the Middle of a Heartbeat. One thing about this band, if they do a slow track, it is always superb. Both Michael and Andy are brilliant at singing these slower songs, both terrific singers. Some bands it doesn't work when they decide to do a slow one, but Helloween always deliver, and I love that song. Still We Go, I like the telephone call in the middle of this, it's quite cool. Then the next album that come out was The Time of the Oath from 1996. Not same album, same guys on the band in the lineup, and boom, Time and Tide. It's not a bad album. My favourite tracks off this are We Burn, always like that. Mission Motherland's another corker, and the title track Time of Oath is superb. Next up was 1998's Better Than Raw. Pretty solid album. Highlights on there, of course, are Hey Lord, great track. Revelation and Time, all pretty solid tracks. Lineup's still pretty solid. Then they come out in 2000. The Dark Ride. It's not one of my favourite albums, and there's not anything on there that really outstands for me. Rabbits Don't Come Easy was the next one in 2003. This is a little bit better. Got a right old mixture here on this one. We got Andy Derry on the vocals, Michael Wicketh on the guitar, Sasha Gerst on the guitars, Marcus Groskopf on the bass, and the drumming was a bit, because by this time Uli Kirsch had left. So you've got Mark Cross doing some drumming, Mikey D doing some, and Stefan Schwartzen as well. Some great songs on this one. Never Be a Star. I say this is Perfect Gentleman with a sitar in it. Very, very good. I like Son of the World. Hell's Made in Heaven. Another good track. Then in 2005 we got another Keepers album, The Legacy. I think they'd milked this one to death, but there are some good tracks on this. But there's too many. Far too many. Should have been just a single album. The King of a Thousand Years is just absolutely superb. One of my favourite tracks ever by Helloween. Same with The Invisible Man. Bassline in this is terrific. Born on Judgment Day, no, it's not one of the better ones. Pleasure Drone, no. An album track that should have been left off. Make it a single. Mrs. God, terrific. Love that song. Silent Rain, good track. Occasional Avenue, an epic, brilliant. Then we get the brilliant Light in the Universe with Candice Night and Blackmore's Night. Mrs. Blackmore, she is a terrific singer. This is a great duo, fantastic song. Do You Know What You're Fighting For? No. Come Alive? No, it's a bit filler. Too many songs on this. Get It Up? It's okay. My Life, One More Day? Good track. And we come round to 2007, Gambling with the Devil, another person change. Drummers have got a full-time drummer now, and it's the one they've got now, Danny Loeb. Gambling with the Devil, good album, quite heavy. My favourite tracks off this are Kill It and As Long As I Fall, a great slow track. 2010 we had Seven Sinners. This is one of the heaviest albums that this band have brought out. Got some great tracks on here. My favourites are Where the Sinners Go, Are You Metal, Far in the Future. 3 outstanding tracks on a very good album. Straight Out of Hell, 2013. Another classic tracks. Waiting for Thunder and Straight Out of Hell. Awesome track that is. It's heavy, it's hard, it's what you expect from Helloween. And then we come up to 2015 with My God-Given Right. Some great tracks on there. I like how on the album how they were when they listed it. Andy Derry goes down as lead vocals and voice commander. Michael Wicketh goes down as captain of guitars. Sasha Gernster, major of strings. Marcus Groskopf was the bass invader, and Daniel Loeb, sergeant of the Skins. Favourite tracks on here are Heroes, Stay Crazy, and The Brilliant Wicked World. On the whole, this band have been pretty solid all the way through. But if you want me to do a more in-depth look at this great speed metal band, put a comment in the comments box and I will give you my full version of every track that this band have put out. I'm sure we'll look at their live albums. So that's this week's Then and Now. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any ideas for Then and Nows, please let me know, because this is quite a hard one to do for me. You know, thinking of, I go through bands and see what ones do we want to do. So if you've got a band that you think we should have a look at, it doesn't have to be a rock band, be a pop band. Someone suggested I look at Oasis. I might have a look at that. So, you know, as long as it's in that rock genre of you know, we'll have a look at it. So what we got later, we've got this album cover day, and we've got 20 more corkers to look at. So for now, I will say ta-ta. And today, of course, is update day. Got some interesting things to tell you. That'll be in a little show probably done later. So for now, I will say goodbye and have fun.